Hello, Joanne. How are you doing?
Nice to talk to you again.
Yeah. And where are you right now?
I am in Nova Scotia, in Canada, in the Atlantic regions.
Beautiful. And can you tell us a little bit about your creative journey so far? When did you start getting on your creative path?
As a musician,
It could be
and
anything because, I think creativity, as it is in one area, so it is in many areas of our life.
it's true, it impacts all our lives. I guess I started my creative journey when I was 12 years old, so that's more than 40 years ago. And by being creative in high school, open to the ideas that came along, and of course, music was always a passion, so I continued further away uh, in college, as in, studying piano, just like you in some ways studying piano, and in university also studying piano. And then I had a family that was a wonderful way of practicing creativity as a mother, with the ups and downs that comes with it. The creative journey as a musician has always been there, more in the background when I was raising my family, but now that all my children are gone, I find that there's more space and time to really explore that side that I always wanted to give more time to, and I'm allowed to do so right now. So, how's it going? I find it very interesting to have come in the path of bright ways also, the program that you're suggesting. I'm doing it along with working on a master degree at the same time. So I'm trying to balance my time, and that's why you haven't seen a lot of me in the last month. But, as soon as it slows down into my other courses, I plan to catch up, and I'm happy that there is, like you said, there's no timeline. You just come back and forth like the tide, and then you just incorporate it in your life. So, where I am, I find that I love the way you approach it when you do a lot of soul searching music, where you don't necessarily, you've done a lot of studies yourself, so you don't let that take over. Right now I'm in the time where I give a lot of time to that training, and I look forward to balance it with creation, and I'm doing it a little bit, um, with my partner, where we're trying to slowly create a 3 minute uh, tidbits meditation, chill style meditation. So I'm trying to give more time to that also. So, work in progress, because
Absolutely. Yeah. So you are so amazing at balancing so many different things. You raised children and kept music going the whole time. Now you have your master's degree going and all your other projects. How do you balance things and how do you stay inspired while you're working with so many different things?
well, I try to stay open to the opportunities I observe around me, and I find people, like the ladies in the group, and people to me at the master level are very inspiring. Just looking up uh, to people who, don't think that they've arrived to the goal. Like, there's always so much to learn, and I think I've learned to enjoy along the way, not only look at the goal in itself. I think that there's more enjoyment in walking and learning towards the goal than obtaining the goal itself. Sometimes it's nice to get there, but there's so many nice little details along the way that are there to be observed, that are as important as the goal itself.
I so agree with you because I mean there would be no goal achieved without this journey. It is actually the journey that makes the goal.
Yes.
So by enjoying every step of the way, that actually keeps the inspiration and the motivation so much more alive than constantly focusing on something out in the future,
Hmm.
you know?
Yes. And
Yeah.
that helps us, like you said, to be in the moment. And with the COVID situation, we're all pushed to really search deep within and say where does my heart wants to be at this moment, and you know, and to give attention to that.
That's so beautiful. Yeah. And what is the role of community for you? I know you mentioned the amazing women in our group and, that they can give inspiration. How does community in general support your creative path?
Hmm. Well, it's a different time right now, but in the past, um, I would say as a performer, it was not only to give, but to go to places where you listen and you observe the way other people do things. And then when it's time for you to offer, you offer. When it's time to learn and receive, you receive. I think it's to have a balance between both, because it's easy to get burnt out if you just do the performance
Yes.
aspect of it. So it's nice to really balance it with staying open. And community for a long time was my own family, taking care of my own, and then helping us to be aware of our neighbors. Uh, you know, and my kids did a few activities, where 12 days before Christmas, we would bring something to the neighbors. For 12 days, it was a different note, a little gift every day. So, in
Wow.
that sense of being aware of this, our community close to us, first of all, so it starts with our neighbors. In Nova Scotia here, it's important to know our neighbors, and we know our neighbors, like, no, not only one beside us, but on which side. And I buy eggs from my neighbors on the other side of the road. So there's many aspects of that word community. There's the musical community, the family community, the town community. Uh, yes, and it's to give in various ways, as I learn with our discussion with the group and with my life experience, is to give attention to everything that is beyond our own purpose.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
we know how much music is such a big piece of the pie in our heart. But it is a nice challenge to try to balance it with the needs around us.
Yeah, I love the ecosystem that you describe, the different types of community feeding each other and all making something very sustainable as a
Yes,
result. Yeah,
I like the expression that you use. Yes, ecosystem. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Um, I know that recently you had to go through the loss of your mother, which was,
Hmm.
um, of course, a very big blow. I'm wondering how your creative path helped you during that moment, or supported you, or what impact that might have had on you. Because one of the intentions I have with this podcast is to
Hmm.
show what the creative journey looks like in real life, and real things happen to us, and things
Hmm.
happen that are very difficult, and I want to find ways that our creativity can help us in those moments, and also be supported in those moments.
Hmm. Well, when my mom passed away, I think I couldn't play for 2 months. I lost the desire for many things.
Right.
I don't know. You feel you just can't function the same way, right?
Yeah,
It's like you have to let go of a part of you that you won't see again in the physical world.
that's right.
Um, and I'm trying to understand your question again. You're saying, can you repeat your question,
Well,
please?
it's how our creative journey looks in real life. So even when things happen to us that are difficult, like this, um, our creative life isn't over, but sometimes it
Hmm.
looks a little different for a while. And so, something I've noticed, especially around death, is that for a while it may look like our creative journey almost goes underground for a little while.
Hmm.
And I think really giving it that time to lay low, to be quiet, it's really important to do that. And I find that creatives sometimes feel like, no, I should be, in fact, writing all these songs about my feelings, and that's just not what they want to do, and they feel very bad about themselves because of that, or they feel, oh, maybe I've lost my desire. And to really understand that your creativity is something that will come back, and
Mm-hmm.
just give it its own time. That's what I've found is really important when a big event like this happens in your life.
Mm-hmm.
I remember when we spoke, and you had been feeling that way, and now it sounds like actually you're you're back on track.
Yes, in some ways, like the only thing I could do when mom passed away, it was a Wednesday at 11 o'clock in the morning. I received a call from my sister, and I left school. I was teaching online that day, and I came home. I couldn't even cry. I was so much in shock. I just sat in my backyard, and all I could do is write. And I
Yeah,
write a poem. That's the only thing that I wrote since then. Um, I
yeah,
find that there's a lot of things that came to death and are going through the seasons, like winter. We go through the season of winter. Everything seems so white and at a stop, right? And then it was at the same level in my music. I find that everything I've done in the past could no longer work in the situation we are right now. And all of a sudden, life brought a wonderful partner in my life, and then we're understanding the need uh, in our own lives to practice, those short meditation. And we thought, you know what, we have the tools and the gifts to create it, so perhaps we could experience on it. And
amazing.
maybe I could share with you a sample that you could add to the
Oh, I
podcast
would
if
love
you
that.
want.
Yes,
And
please.
it's yeah. So it's been interesting to observe, and I don't know if you've read some of the books by like the Surrender. What's the title? The Surrender by the Untethered Soul, and also the Surrender
Yeah, yeah.
by what's
By,
the name of the
by,
author again?
yes.
Yes, also those books really teach us to really flow with what life brings in our path instead of resisting. When we
Right.
resist change, we feel miserable, But when
Yeah.
we embrace change, we start seeing life with new colors and a new horizon. And that's one big thing that I've learned through life's transitions. That thought has sustained me quite a bit. But for this one, when my mom passed away, it was not hard not to resist change.
Hmm.
I was really, for 2 months, I couldn't believe that she was just gone. We never had time to say goodbye,
Right.
and that's hard
Hmm.
to not be able to say goodbye for the last time.
Right.
Um,
Right.
yeah, so I find that as it happened on the physical level, the spiritual level, and the artistic level, everything came to a stop. It
Mm.
is like it was time to recalibrate. And well, just observing my dad going through this, of course, he was in a lot of pain because he said, my half of my heart is gone.
Mm.
And then he moved to my sister. He left the apartment where they were, and then he has a new life now living with my sister. But he's just the joy of the family. He has he's a great example of not resisting change
Mm.
and just moving along with what life has now, being thankful for what you've had and moving along with what you have now. And he's thankful for his three daughters and the gift and the legacy that his wife left him, in that
Wow.
sense.
There's such a theme of openness in
Mm-hmm.
everything that you're saying and everything that you do. This real openness to taking in experience and moving with it, changing with it.
Mm-hmm.
For me, that's what creativity ultimately is
Mm-hmm.
reacting directly with life itself. And as you react with it, you change it as well. And that's
Mm-hmm.
the co-creation that moves us forward.
Yes. And
Yeah,
letting the pain of the storm pass through.
right.
For 2 months, I just let it pass through me. I just couldn't do anything. I couldn't feel joy. It's like you can't feel anything. You
Yeah.
just have to let the storm wash over you. And remember that nothing lasts forever. It will pass. But
Mm,
those moments are long sometimes.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So there's always a couple questions I like to ask towards the end of our interview. And one is, what is one misperception that you feel people have about creativity that you would like to invite them to let go of right now? So, is there a misperception that you encounter quite a lot around creativity?
Well, if I look at my own practice, I would say is to just wait for something major. But if I could just sit down and just accept the small bits and pieces of the creation there, and not wait to create a whole thing. Like sometimes I see it as a big mountain,
Yeah,
and a lot of people are able to create something so beautiful within an hour or so, just by sitting and exploring. And I think it's giving more time to exploration, because I've been trained, such in a rigid, not a rigid, well, in some ways it's rigid when you take the classical road, right? It's very rigid, you know what you have to do, but then leaving space for, the improv,
yeah,
and not seeing it so much as a mountain, but seeing each little step, like a little one little note coming one after the other towards the top of the mountain. I guess that's what in my own life I'm trying to give space to, and to give time to. I think it's important to allow some time to it, and that's what I'm trying to work on, to allow more time
wow.
to work at that level.
Well, my second question, I think you already answered it. It's, what is one thing you would like people to know today about creativity? And I think you answered it in that, it's the presence and the little steps every moment.
Hmm.
Would you say that?
Yes, yes, and giving it time to, allowing time, like you said. No, we have, and I'm working on sending you that practice schedule that we
Yes,
have.
excellent. Yay.
But I think it's important to allow time. I don't think I could do. Maybe I could do it every day. Not right now, but at some point it would be nice to include it every day before you start your scale, before you start any study of any work by other people, to give
Okay.
time to what does your soul has to say through your fingers today.
I love it.
Yeah,
I love it.
yeah.
Well, Joanna, it's been such a pleasure to spend time with you and to hear all your wonderful news and to witness your creative path. It's a beautiful, open, present, and joyful path, it feels to me.
Well, thank you for your inspiration. You are a big presence in a lot of our paths. It means a lot.
Thank you.
Yeah.
We're co-creating something very beautiful.
Yes, keep up the great work.
Yeah, likewise. Thank you, Joanne.
Thank you.
See you again.
See you. Bye bye.